9 a.m. edition. SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3.
All right, joining me in studio, pharmacist and owner of Freedom Pharmacy, located at 3902 Hardy Street in Hattiesburg, freedompharmacyms.com. Michelle Little. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
We were just talking about, of course, every month has a lot of focuses and awarenesses, and it's hard for me to keep up with all of them, but they're important because they do put a lot of issues in the forefront that people should be aware of. And so, yeah, we're running down the list. National Cancer Control Month. And of course, that's focused on prevention, early detection, but it's also Head, Neck, and Esophagus Cancer Awareness Month as well. And this one, this is every day. It's National Stress Awareness Month, exactly. But yeah, it's every day is stress awareness. I'm aware of it, and I try to deal with it. But what we want to focus on are just the ways to take care of yourself. And of course, when it comes to a lot of issues, doctors will prescribe all these prescriptions, and a lot of times they just cover up the symptoms, which is why for years, I've never actually had a lot of prescriptions filled because of that. Right. I'll ask, what does this do? Well, this will make you feel better. Does it cure it? No. Okay, I don't want to deal with it then. What's going to help me overcome what I'm dealing with? And of course, there's a lot of great medications out there that help people, but your focus is finding ways that people can have that quality of life and that long life, as opposed to just covering it up.
Exactly, which is kind of, counterproductive when you own a pharmacy by saying, I'd rather you not take prescription medications when that's what we do. But my passion is just to help the person and just for with awareness that all prescriptions have a pro and a con, sometimes many pros and many cons. And how do you mitigate that? And so, again, we are still in that sinus season. I mean, we are still getting, people asking us questions about, do I take Histopro? Do I take Sinus Pro? And everything is inflamed right now just due to our allergens, the pollens, the molds, all the things in the air. And again, so this correlates to Cancer Awareness Month for our head, neck, esophageal, all of that, happens. When you have something repetitively happen over and over and over, that increases your chances of having a worsening of a condition. Right. And so, again, it's taking the over-the-counter things that can also have the side effects to it, as opposed to taking something that is a more natural support system like the Histopro, because it does so many things to help to decrease that inflammation overall, which again helps with blocking the cancer possibility down the road. So everything that we do it's a building process, and it can build us up or it can break us down. Right. And so that's what we really try to promote, and we just encourage the questions and for people to reach out on that. But there are better options sometimes. Now, sometimes we absolutely need the medicine. We need that. We need a quick response. We need to get in there. We need to get it done. I'm just trying to help people understand that they may not need to be on an over-the-counter sinus medicine every day of their life all year long. There could be a better way.
But this is South Mississippi. I thought it is all year long, it seems.
And so that, again, we just don't want the side effects of those drugs to, over months and months and months, years and years and years, to then cause a disease state when we're later. We, like I talked about before, we spend just an exorbitant amount of money on insurance for our homes, our vehicles, our health insurance. Everything is insured. I mean, we go to work to pay for insurance, it seems like. But what are we doing to ensure our health? What are we investing in ourselves? People are like, I don't have money to invest in supplements. My whole comment is you don't have a choice not to invest in yourself, if you want a long-term outcome. So just to even touch on the head and neck cancer that they were talking about in esophageal, all the obvious things, alcohol, tobacco use, those things are the obvious things. Of course, we want to mitigate, limit that, as much as possible, because that just is common sense. But again, these prescription medications that are designed to help with reflux were just supposed to be used short term, and they are a Band-Aid, to help stop stomach acid. But we need to fix that reflux, and we've got incredible products that fix reflux. And if you've had your gallbladder removed, you need to be taking great digestive enzymes that are going to help to prevent that reflux. Our GI Harmony I've yet to have it not work for someone, to fix their reflux. But those are things that can help prevent against a constant irritant, a constant inflammation that can produce a worsening of a disease state as you age.
And that's something we take for granted because, again, we live in a society that turn the TV, you see prescription commercials all the time. I always point out, well, listen to the side effects. Sometimes the side effects are far worse than what they're actually trying to help out. But that is the easy way to go. But I've noticed since we've been doing these interviews that the medical industry, our doctors and the insurance companies are starting to realize preventative, because that's all I'm hearing. And it was maybe a couple of years ago, I go to see my doctor and he's like, I'm going to be honest, we're focused on preventative. And these are the things you need to do. It's
refreshing.
Like, but I was sort of like, I'm ahead of the game, doc, because I've already been talking about this. But to see that happen, same thing with allergy medicines. And of course, people will get the over-the-counter oral medications. They keep showing up in my social media feeds because it's South Mississippi.
Right.
They know it's South Mississippi. It's probably recording me every time I sneeze, so it knows, okay, we need to put an ad on there. But as we've talked about too, the sprays and getting that medication, that's where the inflammation is happening and the issues. And of course, with saline, which when I discovered that was just something so simple. And it made such a big difference. But my doctor's saying, don't do any more oral medications, focus on spray. And he said, get some saline spray that first, then spray. And I'm like, again, we've been talking about this for years, but to see that this is slowly starting to come around and people understanding what these do.
It really is refreshing, and it also gives validity to the simple things that we're sharing with our patients. We're like, oh yeah, my doctor mentioned that too. They usually say it takes someone 7 times to hear something before they finally be like, there may be something to that. So maybe if we keep talking about these things every single month, in 7 months from now, people will be like, I might want to look into that. Piggybacking, on cold and flu season, which is now turned into sinus season, so many unnecessary antibiotics are given, where that Sinus Pro could help alleviate taking that, antibiotic. And antibiotics, again, wear down our immune system, and they cause just disruption. For every antibiotic, it takes your body like a month of taking probiotics to build your system back up. Again, so we go back to that Cancer Awareness Month. What are the things that they have proven scientifically that cause cancer? Inflammation. And so that's all the foods that we eat, so we don't even have time for all of that, but I think we've touched on that enough to know, and always happy to help anybody with that in the store. But we've got to be proactive in our health and realize that once you get to these diagnoses, it's a whole lot harder to reverse than if we were to start it right now. So the other thing that is dealing with, I hate that I keep, talking about cancer, but it is just a reality, and it's just so much more prevalent now than it ever was. Yeah. Just the people that we have coming into our store and the consults that I'm doing, it's just, and then, my passion about what my husband is going through. So I just don't want anyone to ever have to walk down this path. But Stress Awareness Month, we say we're always stressed, but stress is a big deal. And, they'll list that if you do any research at all on causes of cancer. Stress is one of them, and stress management. So again, little adaptogenic herbs over the counter. You don't have to go get Xanax to manage your stress, which causes so many more or even stress is not an antidepressant. You're not depressed clinically. We're there for those that truly need them, and they've been life-giving. But people don't manage their stress when they go to the doctor. The doctor's first line of defense is an antidepressant when they literally could just have some adaptogenic herbs and some things that help, like ashwagandha and rhodiola and magnesium.
Yes.
Oh my goodness,
I've been taking
number one thing
magnesium.
for magnesium is just stress.
Yeah.
And so I can't emphasize the importance of magnesium enough. We talk about it all the time. But
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. I've mentioned on the air, I've been dealing with carcinoma in the last few years, and it seems like when it pops up are periods in my life that are overly stressful. And that's sort of okay, that makes sense that this is triggering this. I wish we had more time. I know you're extremely busy, but I appreciate the time we've had. Michelle Little, pharmacist and owner of Freedom Pharmacy. FreedomPharmacyMS.com is their website, but I encourage you just go in and see them, 3902 Hardy Street in Hattiesburg, and just do a consultation. Tell them what you're taking, what you're feeling, what your concerns are. They will guide you through this. But it is all preventative, and I'm so glad everyone else has finally started listening to this segment nationwide and have gotten on the boat. So we appreciate it.
Makes
Michelle
my
Little,
heart happy.
Always great to see you.
I love being here. Thanks, Michael.
That's going to do it for 9 a.m. edition. PRCC Wildcat Radio Show is up next. Chuck Abney in studio with his guest, Alex Kennedy, Assistant Director of Marketing and Communications. Back here tomorrow, so until then, be safe, be kind, God bless.